Today on Bell and the Birdmen, Jonathan Gannon's back. Oh, also, how do you fix the defense? John has a Super Bowl story, and I have a major announcement. It's all coming up from the Last Out Media Studios. But first, Taylor, hit the music!
Hello, everybody. It is a very hoarse John Barshard. What's going on? Along with Vince Quinn, it is Bell and the Birdmen. A shout out to Philly Sports Trips.
Yes.
For taking us to the Flyers game last night. That is why I'm wearing my sunglasses and why I'm barely awake, everybody. Yeah. Can I just say off the top, what a wonderful trip. And then also, the kids didn't sleep at all last night. So it was just kind of like one on top of the other. It was great. Vince Quinn, John Barchard, Taylor Credatis. Of course, Francisco Rojas joining us in the producer's booth as well. So it keeps growing over here. We appreciate you guys listening, watching, wherever you get your podcasts, and hopefully you're subscribed to YouTube and all that fun stuff. The liquid deaths are flowing. Hopefully my voice will be too. But how are you feeling today, Vince Quinn?
Well, John, first.
Yeah.
Yep. I want to say it. That was a very sad crack. It's a sad crack.
Why is it a sad
It's a sad
crack?
mood.
All right.
We're stuck with Gannon again. I would have sworn he was gone. And the whole manner that the fact that this guy is back in Philly is ludicrous. I mean, think about this, right? They want Josh McCown. He's not a head coach, and they know it, but they want him so bad anyway. So, like, all right, let's get a defensive guy to pair with McCown. Then all the Brian Flores stuff happens. Yep. And they're like, oh, suddenly we love our black defensive coordinator that's been here all year. Suddenly he's the guy. We haven't interviewed him for 3 months since our season's been over, or 4 when our season was effectively over. But suddenly he's the guy running this terrible defense last year. He's the guy. So now they name him the head coach with, like, what? There's a lot of politics with that, but whatever. But now Gannon comes back here, which means Wink Martindale, who everybody would have loved to have had here. He's with the Giants now. Not great. Vic Fangio, not going to be here. Brian Flores, obviously not going to be here. Like, this sucks. I have very little confidence in Gannon, and we've got him for another year.
Why do you care? Why does everyone care so much about the defense? It doesn't matter.
What do you mean it doesn't matter?
It barely matters. Like the whole draft a linebacker in the first round. You know, Gannon's not that good to begin with anyway. How do we know if Jonathan Gannon's any good? We've already decided that he's just terrible. I think he's fine. He's okay. He might actually be good.
Yeah, I don't know. Believe that. Don't believe that at all.
What? He's got 4 head coaching interviews. If you're using the same logic that you told me on Sunday about Howie Roseman and everybody that gets to interview him and gets jobs and all this other stuff, then, like, don't you have to say the same thing? If that guy was potentially interviewed by 4 NFL teams?
Well, wasn't Dan Quinn too?
Yeah. Well, do we actually know?
Sometimes bad teams interview bad candidates. I mean, that does happen too. Like, we've seen Gannon. The front office people, you have to guess a little bit more because, like, I don't know exactly what those people are doing. They're not sending me their paperwork, you know. So it is what it is. But when I'm looking at a guy like Gannon, you think, okay, what are the things that he didn't do? Right. My criticism with Sirianni is he didn't do the obvious stuff at the beginning of the year.
Right.
That was the problem with Gannon. Just sitting back. No, let's just relax. No, hey, 85% completions. No problem. Zach Wilson, do your thing. Like you just can't.
Did they win the game?
You can't live like that.
Did they win the game?
They won that game, but are they as good as they could be given the talent? That's the question.
There is no talent on the defense.
There is talent on the defense.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
There's enough.
A blown down Fletcher Cox. BG, you missed the entire year. TJ Edgeworth came around, I guess, right? There's your linebacker of the future. Steven Nelson, Darius Slay, fine. 1 year McLeod, 1 year of Anthony Harris. Like, it's just a ragtag defense to begin with anyway. So, like, who could have elevated this defense more outside of Jonathan
Mike
Gannon?
Zimmer, who's available, Wink Martindale, who's available, Vic Fangio, who's available, like all of those guys. That was the thing. You look at all the defensive guys that were available right now, which doesn't happen like this. It really doesn't happen. They're all on the market. You go, oh my God, we could get any of these guys, and it's all because Gannon's going to get a head coaching job.
You wanted them to fire Gannon if they didn't get a head coaching job and then, like, replace the defensive coordinator?
Ideally, if it was me, I'd be like, sorry, pal, you're out of here. But for looking at the Eagles, I wanted Gannon to get the job with Houston, which he was on track for until the Flores lawsuit.
Yep.
So he was going to get that job, and then we would just naturally go, oh, well, he's gone. So what are we going to do? We're going to clone Jonathan Gannon and let him keep the job here too? No, you got to find somebody else and put him in the job. And all those people would have been better track records, all of them.
More than likely, who gets hired is one of the defensive back coaches or like the linebackers coach or whoever's doing that, because again, I don't think Jonathan Gannon's calling plays. Somebody else there is, and if it would have been just as easy as like one of the guys on his staff is going to take over, which is probably what they would have done. They weren't going to hire Zimmer. They weren't going to hire one of these big like flashy names to come in and revamp this defense. They want to keep it basically the same. That's what it tells everybody.
Yeah, I would have had a really sharp pitchfork if that was the case. I would have had a very sharp pitchfork. I mean, look, youth is good. Youth is good at some point.
Yep.
Yes, be young, evolve, grow, all that kind of stuff. I understand where they're going with it. But having somebody that has been there, been successful to cover a whole side of the ball, there's nothing wrong with that. We've talked about it before. Sean McVay, Wade Phillips at the beginning of that, really nice balance of things. John Harbaugh with all the guys that he had over the years, like all these older veteran guys like Dean Pease and whatever. There's a really good balance to all of that. And to get a guy of that caliber when there's 5 of them sitting around and go, we could have gotten any of them, it feels like we've missed out.
I don't think so at all. I think this is just another great overreaction from everyone that wants a fancier name in here, and it wouldn't have mattered overall. This defense was not the issue for this Eagles team. They couldn't score. They couldn't score, man. Like they are good enough to be a model defense for what this era of football is. They don't need to be this dumb, and weren't they middling in the top 10 or 15 at some point?
Well, for a while,
they got there at the end, right?
They drifted there. By the end of the season, they were, I think, like 10th in yards, which you don't love, and I think 18th in scoring.
Yeah,
so
that's not great.
No, it's not.
But if you're saying that Jonathan Gannon's more the problem than the talent, and what you should do with this defense, like I completely disagree. Jonathan Gannon, it seemed to have at least Howie Roseman's ear when you were in the draft this year. So I don't think he's been able to do anything that he wants to do, and he's been given this weird hand. I mean, you agree that this defense is a bunch of like 1-year contracts with no young drafted talent around it, right?
The drafted talent has been a problem. That's definitely not there. The youth movement never came over the last couple of years, so that's a problem. But for the guys that were there, I mean, Cox, Hargrave, getting anything out of Barnett, or just really
no one has
anything, and he wasn't able to do it. Whatever, but Barnett's not the best example. But the linebackers is really a sticking point for me. Devastating for the team earlier in the year, right? Absolutely a sieve. Everybody knew it. It was that case for like half of the season, and then he had a little moment where he changed a bit and finally started sending those guys. And when he was doing it, it was working. And then he stopped doing it. And that's my problem. You can't stop sending those guys when they can't cover. They can't cover anybody. So why are you leaving them back there to cover if they can't cover? You might as well blitz and hope you can get some pressure, force bad throws, all that kind of stuff.
That's Madden shit right there,
Oh,
man.
no, it's not.
Engage 8, just go blitz, and like nobody else can cover, and we'll just see if we can get home. They didn't get home either. They're not even talented enough to blitz anybody unless it's a bad offensive line. So
you got to try. When you're completing like 80%.
If our detriment towards Jonathan Gannon is he didn't blitz enough, then like what are we talking about here?
Where do you think they ranked in sacks?
Probably dead last.
Like 31st, yeah.
31st.
Oh, right on the money.
Who's below them?
Look at that. Ooh, who's below them? God. You know what's funny?
No.
My first thought that
Jets?
came to mind, there's no way this is true, but my first thought was the Bengals. I have no idea what their sack numbers are
it's
this
the
year.
Falcons.
Falcons, okay.
All right. Yeah, there you go. But I don't so how is that the coach's fault? That's what I mean. You're 31st in sacks, you're 18th in points allowed. How is that the coach's
19th.
fault? 19th even.
Well,
So,
they're sitting
worse.
back. They're letting people complete all these passes really easily. You got to find something. You either got to pressure and give your pass rush more time, or you got to send the heat and limit the time that your secondary needs to cover. He didn't do either of those things. He sat back and didn't blitz.
They were 31st in sacks. They
Yes.
can't get home. They can't get home.
So then press.
So blitz more and
play more aggressive with your secondary. Then you can't sit back 7 yards and just let these guys do what they want. They were letting 80% completions with a lot of guys. They were setting records,
And that's
with
probably
completions.
most of the time. That was the best game plan that you could do with that defense.
Oh, come on. They played turtle defense. They're just like, let me hide in the shell and get kicked a lot and hope I don't die. Like, come on.
What you hate Alex Singleton. You were heft up on Davion Taylor, who missed most of the year.
Yep.
So, it's what else do you want them to do? There wasn't any. Carson Wentz costed a lot of money. They were in dead cap. There is no way I'm looking at Jonathan Gannon from this past year, and I've said this before, but he and Nick Sirianni basically had the same year. That's it. It's just I feel as though we look at one side of the ball and that's it. And Jonathan Gannon's the biggest problem with the Eagles, and it's not even close to it. I don't think this is totally Sean McDermott all over again because it just didn't work out. Can you imagine? Do you remember the personnel that was there? Nate Allen, a bunch of other corners that didn't work out. No pass rushers hardly ever. I mean, Trent Cole, Brandon Graham were hanging around, but
Yeah, well, McDermott. Yeah, here's the thing with McDermott. McDermott got killed because he was following Jim Johnson. That was his problem. He's following Jim Johnson. The guy was a certified bona fide legend. So when he dies, and that's the thing, the guy died. Brian Dawkins leaves. The whole thing changed at that point. So
right.
McDermott comes in. Everybody's pissed about it because he's not Jim Johnson. It's always hard to follow a guy like that. And so he lost his job really quick, and then he figured it out. But for Gannon, he's following Jim Schwartz. It's like, nobody looks at Jim Schwartz and goes oh my God, I really miss Jim Schwartz.
But
it was yeah, he was good. Well, then that's another guy I would have.
Oh my God!
I would take Jim Schwartz over Jonathan Gannon, and that would be easy for me.
It would
be easy
because he would have done the same thing. Yeah. He would have done the exact same thing.
I think it's probably the same. If not, it's very remotely different.
Okay, I'm going to put that out as a poll question. I'm going to put that out as a poll right now.
Well, everybody's going to agree with it because they hated Gannon.
See, and that's where, T's on my level here.
Well, good. Then I want everyone to agree with me. That's.
But I don't, aside from Gannon, they don't really need to do much to this defense. It doesn't need to improve that much. So, I'm not even, I know everyone's hepped up on, completely revamping the defense, and they don't need to do that at all. They just need to find a pass rusher and a safety, and that's pretty much it. They will throw a million UDFA linebackers until they, figure out the rest, but, I don't see them drafting a linebacker in the first round. I don't see them doing this major overhaul. They need to draft offense. The majority of this stuff needs to come from Nick, and you need to keep building on your strengths here. Who cares what? If Jonathan Gannon's not here in another year, I'm sure we won't be heartbroken. But
no,
he's nowhere near the problem of what happened and what was wrong with this Eagles team last year.
He's not Billy Davis, okay? I'm not calling him
That's
Billy
right,
Davis.
He's Juan Castillo, or at least he was at one point.
Yeah, well,
right?
he was at one point. He was at one point. It is worth noting that he was at one. He was actually worse than Juan Castillo statistically at one point. So not great. But when it does come to this idea then with the defense and how much work needs to get done, that is the thing that's interesting with all this. If Gannon's going to prove me wrong, okay, he's got every opportunity to do it this year. Ronnie McLeod's a free agent. I've got the whole list. Hold on. Let me consult my notes here. I've got my voluminous notes. Okay, so free agents. Rodney McLeod, Anthony Harris,
right?
Derek Barnett, Steven Nelson. This is a big one. This next one. Ryan Kerrigan, the legend that is, with maybe 3 tackles all year. Hassan Ridgway's a free agent. Alex Singleton's a restricted free agent. And Jannard Avery is a free agent as well.
Yeah.
So that's
most of those guys are gone.
Most of those guys are gone, and you got to figure Fletcher Cox, if all those rumors are true and he wants out of here and his age and salary and all that, then he's going to be gone too. So you're talking 6 guys that really mattered on the defense, and they're all gone.
So how does that help him?
Well, that does, but here's how it helps him, because you're going to have opportunity now to go build it the way that he wants.
Yeah.
So if they believe in him and they think he's a great mind and architect and all this stuff, well, then go do it. They're the safeties that are available. The market's really good at safety this year. Whether or not they bring back Steven Nelson, and that's the route they wanted to go, because he waited a good bit into the summer and then they signed him. Curious to see what they do there. I would love Nelson back. That's just me. I think he's a great ad. You keep him for 2 years and you let it ride for a little bit. But you get all that, the defensive line, how do they want to change things there? If they wanted to, honestly, they could switch to a 3-4 right now if they wanted to.
Yeah. They could. And I don't know if I don't think that's, well, who knows what scheme Jonathan Gannon has, because he says he doesn't have one, but whatever.
Yes.
That might be a part of the problem this year. It's because instead of saying, I've got a bunch of shitty players and I don't know what to do, I'm just going to do this one thing.
I think more importantly, he doesn't have a leader on that end.
It's very true, too.
I don't
like nobody's the guy hyping him up. Nobody's, hey, we got to do this, we got to do that. Like, was it Fletcher Cox with one leg?
Well, and McLeod. McLeod's been that guy. So if he's going to be gone because he's had a lot of injuries, he's maybe 32. There's like Marcus Williams is on the market. He's with the Saints, so like there's no way they're signing that guy back. 25-year-old safety, you go, okay, like are they going to go in on a guy like him? Maybe. If I was the Eagles, I would. Quandre Diggs, who played with Slay in Detroit. They had cleats. Slay, did you see this? Slay wore cleats at the Pro Bowl, and it was like how it was going. Yeah, that whole thing, and it was them being Lions and then being on separate teams. So it's like, I wonder if these guys are trying to link up here. So we'll see. But again, like this is opportunity. If they're going to shape this thing, if they want to make changes structurally to the meta, which is a very popular word for us, if they're going to change the meta of, okay, we don't value linebackers, maybe now we do. We always valued safeties, maybe we value those a little bit less, or whatever, or they're going to double down and stay the same. Defensive line, secondary, and linebackers don't matter. But they can define all of that right now. Like, this is a chance to do it. So if Gannon's if he's got a vision, he wants to build something, it's different than what he's had, this is his chance.
So he really is Jim Shorts if they start listening to him and build the defense out and be like, I'm the new GM of this side of the football, and like I've earned that or whatever. I'm sure if the fan base would be very happy to know that Jonathan Gannon has massive say with and he might, because of what we talked about on the last episode. Like this is a time where if you're losing all three of your front office guys, then maybe a coach has a little more say in what he wants specifically, because like it does have to be rebuilt or whatever. But I still don't think this defense has to be rebuilt. This just needs, like, Steven Nelson should absolutely come back.
Yeah.
McLeod should absolutely come back. You fill in the rest with second and third rounders with massive picks that you have. You take an edge in the first with one of those, and the rest should be offense. And you should be okay. You should be okay. I don't. What do you want this defense to become? Is a better question to you. Like what are you expecting here?
Yeah, I mean, really, when it comes to winning a Super Bowl, right? Because obviously that's the goal.
Yeah.
Like, you got to be elite at something. They're going to go for offense. I understand that. You should do that. It's the way to be. So fine. Where's the defense got to be? It's got to be in the 10-15 range, closer to 10. If you're 13 down, I guess, and like being super nitpicky, anywhere in that range to be good enough, generate turnovers here and there, and let your offense do its thing. That's where it's got to be. I mean, it's the formula we saw with the Giants. It's the formula we saw with the Eagles a couple of years ago. We can talk about the Eagles in the Super Bowl a little bit later. But with all of that, pass rush, quality offense, and you go and win that way.
Yeah, I mean, you're just talking about 5 slots by points, essentially. Like, you need to be a little bit better, and that's all we're asking this defense to do. So you shouldn't invest heavily. I would say if the free agent route for the defensive side of the ball is probably the best way to go again. Sarah, I can't even remember. Has anybody taken a look at the free agent draft or edge class at all?
Yeah, so I've got a couple of guys that I wrote down. Some I'm like pretty aware of. Other guys I got to research a little bit more. But the biggest name that sticks out to me is Emmanuel Ogbah. Now, I don't know if the Dolphins are going to let him go, but if he's hitting the free agent market, he's available. Defensive end, and a guy that it seemed like they rotated him a bit. He played in every game, but he started maybe 12 of the games out of 17. So, okay, that's a great fit for what the Eagles do. He's maybe 28 years old. You get him for a couple of years. He becomes a younger version of the Ryan Kerrigan, Chris Long, Michael Bennett, all that kind of stuff, and you let it ride for a while. Like
a much lighter version of that, absolutely.
Yeah. I'd be okay with that, because they need help on the defensive line. But also talking about the draft and the kind of things you could add to this team defensively, the same way last year, or I don't know, 2 years ago, however the hell you want to define this. They drafted 3 wide receivers. I think they added 4 when you count Goodwin. They traded for Marquise Goodwin and he never played. But I could see them going with 3 defensive linemen in this draft. Just like, hey, we just got to totally reload the defensive line. Let's just draft a bunch of young dudes and we'll figure it out. I'd be okay with that too.
And then you just hope that Brandon Graham hangs on for one more year. A little bit of even if it's just like 9 more games, I think that would be very helpful. I think that's a pretty good plan. 3 defensive linemen. Well, you got to probably take a corner in there at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they'll be just fine. And, by the time that the city comes back around to Jalen Hurts actually being a good quarterback instead of one that you want to trade for with small hands Kenny Pickett or, Russell Wilson.
Which don't matter, the small hands.
Oh, yeah.
Don't matter.
I'm sure they never matter. Nothing ever matters when you like a guy, by the way. Nothing ever matters. It's not a big deal. He's just small hands or a small frame or he doesn't throw accurately or this or that. Yeah, none of it matters.
I've never looked at a quarterback and gone, his hands are too small. That was his problem on that play. I've never seen that or thought about that in my life.
It matters. It does matter.
How does it matter?
The difference between someone with 10 hand, what is it?
10 inch?
10 inch hands versus 8. It's very significant in how you grip a football. It's very significant. And doesn't it lead to or predict who is going to be a fumbler and who's not in the NFL most of the time?
No, I think it's a truism.
Is it a truism?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things because I actually got sent an article from Taboo in the Discord. He had sent me an article a while ago from ESPN. The
Shout out to Taboo 34.
Came out in 2016, and when Joe Burrow was coming out in the draft.
Yeah,
because he had tiny hands. And
he's a generational talent. There's a difference between that.
Okay, I mean, agreed, but there's plenty of guys that have been in the league. You hear stuff about their hands. They come in the league. You never hear about it again. Nobody ever talks about it after the draft.
Jared Goff talked about his hands. They're tiny. Is he a great quarterback? No. Is he a good quarterback?
Yeah,
maybe.
He's a totally solid, acceptable. Nobody is, it's not a miserable starter.
No, but I think it's hilarious that we just dismiss all that stuff all the time, especially when it's a guy like Kenny Pickett. If I line up Kenny Pickett and Joe Burrow and their tape, his tiny hands are going to matter because he doesn't have enough to overcome that stuff. So that matters to me. I think small hands matter.
See, I just think he stinks. He's just not nearly as good as a Burrow, and the talent's there. Accuracy and the ability to lead and whatever, all the things go into being a quarterback. Processing, hands have so little to do with all of that. As long as you've got a good grip on the ball, wherever your placement has to be, you might have to move back on the ball a little bit more than different guys, so that's going to change it a little bit, but if you can get the ball out, you can get the ball out. I mean, it's going to be so rare where it's if this guy had an inch bigger hands, a half-inch bigger hands, when they were going for that sack fumble, he would have kept it instead of lost it. How many plays does that really impact?
Probably, I don't know. Probably not overall, but the same way that arm talent matters, that accuracy matters, that footwork matters. It's all part of the thing. And if you've got to develop Kenny Pickett in his tiny little hands, then it's a problem because he's not Dan Marino. That's what I'm trying to say. So.
Okay, I'm going to ask people as well. I'm going to put this out then too because I'm curious how people feel. I'd love to hear from you guys. How do you feel about quarterbacks with tiny hands? And I'm just going to put it out as a poll question. We'll see what people say. Right now, by the way, I'm going to vote on our poll. I'm going to vote for Schwartz, of course, for defensive coordinator.
What's the okay? So far in the early goings, what
so
does that say,
in 10 minutes, we've got 53 votes so far. Schwartz 36%, Gannon 38%.
All right,
and there's no difference, 29%.
Okay. All right.
So it's pretty much
about even there.
I think Taylor called it pretty much. He nailed where that was going to go. So let's ask people about tiny hands and see where that goes.
My tiny hands are going to wrap themselves around this nice can of Liquid Death sparkling water because I don't know if you know this, Vince. It is the Super Bowl. They are the first brand ever that is apparently betting $50,000 on the underdog, which is the Bengals. So we're all rooting for the Bengals this weekend. They are also sending a witch to the Super Bowl to put the hex on the Rams, which I really, really appreciate. And, of course, as you've been telling us in our text line, 215-509-5833, and in our Discord, I'm getting very jealous of everyone that is tweeting out the Bury It Alive sparkling flavored cans that they are now releasing, the mango the Chainsaw Mango Massacre, and what's the third one? Oh,
we'll know when we get a case,
severed
Mike.
lime, Mike.
We'll know, Mike. Maybe it'll be easier then because it'll be in our hands. Mike, come on, buddy. We believe in you, buddy. Come on.
I appreciate the black can very much because it's very much Iowa colors of the the black and gold essentially. So I've been nicely refreshing my throat for the last what are we going to say? The last couple of hours of this. Let's just call it what it is, of a nice little hangover from last night.
Yeah,
so,
that's what it was.
this is making me feel nice and fresh. It will for you too. We're addicted to drinking wonderful, actually not even wonderful, the best mountain water from the Alps in a can. And go to liquiddeath.com/Bell to get free shipping on every single case of this infinitely recyclable can. And man, I can't appreciate them enough, except for the flavored cans, man.
We need the flavored cans.
It's going to turn everything around.
By the way, so here's another little perk of Liquid Death, right? So I had a can last night. We were driving, going to the Flyers game.
We were.
So
which was a ghost town, by the way.
It was like maybe 20%
How bad
capacity.
was it?
There was no traffic on 95 coming or leaving, and I've heard Pee Wee games at 6 a.m. with louder claps. No kidding.
Yeah.
There was maybe tickets probably were sold, but there was probably 700 to 1,400 people in that arena.
Nobody.
By the time that the first period was starting.
And it was really, here's how bad it was, right? So there's this guy who's like a hype man for the Flyers, and the game's about to get going. So he's like, all right, everybody, it's time for Flyers hockey. Countdown with me. 10, 9, 8. And nobody said anything.
That's a 3 count. That's not a 10 count.
Yeah.
And by the time it was like, here we go. And there was this big explosion and all that stuff. And then the music ended. It was like, and Flyers lost 6-3, by the way, if you care.
Oh.
So that was
Our Flyers fan base frauds not showing up.
That's right. Fair weather.
boo.
Yeah. So that was a terrible game. But as we were going to the game, so I had Liquid Death last night. I'm drinking it on the way down to the game. Kind of forgot about it. Couldn't take it into the stadium. And then I got in the car this morning and I was like, oh, it's Stillwater Liquid Death. This is totally great. Just sat in there. Had been chilled, sitting in the front seat in the cup holder. I just drank it on the way in. I was like, yeah, this is perfect.
Perfect. Yes,
So-
it is. And it's good in the trunk of your car, and it's good in your fridge. Good in your office. Good wherever you need. Wherever you're going on the go, liquiddeath.com/Bell. And I gotta admit something, because it's Super Bowl week. Well, one, I want to tell a real fun story, because I don't think too many people know.
Yeah.
I'm ready to retire the Super Bowl celebrations and anniversaries. I'm officially sick and done with it. I know I was trying to get to the 5-year mark. I don't even want to celebrate 5 years. 4 years was enough of remembering the Super Bowl and, hey, do you remember how great the NFC Championship game was? Because this is what happened on 38-7. Yes, I have. Yeah, we get it. Now we're trying to win another Super Bowl. Hey, do you remember when they won the Super Bowl? Yeah, that was great. And now it's like, hey, do you also remember Jason Kelce's speech? 4 days later, there's all these anniversaries in February that goes on and on. And I'm tired of it. I'm tired of re-celebrating the Super Bowl already. Does that make me a bad fan?
No, it doesn't.
I'm so done with it.
No, because it's everywhere. You know what I mean? You follow all these Eagles people, and so everybody's just like, oh, yeah, this is the time. Let's go. I got to get those likes and retweets. You know what I mean? So it's just you lay it on super thick all the time. And, yeah, I get tired of it. This is the first time, as you've talked about, I was like, am I going to mute the word Super Bowl?
I am.
Am I going to do that? I don't know if I have the heart to actually do it.
Just mute Philly special.
Yeah, that too. I know it was, and it was. It's one of the greatest plays ever called in a Super Bowl, especially when you put situation in context with it. Mm-hmm. I don't care anymore. I need time to appreciate. Just like Tom Brady, I need time away to appreciate everything that everyone's done. There are 3 or 4 people left, 5 people left on this roster that are still part of that team. I get it. It means something to everybody else. Our good friend got married in the street from the Super Bowl, so I get it.
Yep.
But I don't know. I'm done. I'm done celebrating the Super Bowl.
It's like whatever Drake song was really popular at the time. You've been playing it since 2018. It's I get it.
Yeah.
And if
how many times do I have to hear this?
And that's the thing, right? The Super Bowl never went away since they won. It's never gone away.
Yeah.
So it's just when you live in it 5 years and every tweet is like, oh, by the way, and that happened when the Eagles won the Super Bowl 41-33. It just at some point it's like, yeah, well, I get that, but I've been hearing it every day for 4 years now.
Yeah.
At some point it doesn't sound the same.
This is what Malcolm Jenkins tried to do when he tried to rip down the Super Bowl banner in 2018 and just be like, no, we're not doing it this time. We need to go win another. We're still there. Everybody is still there in the clouds because we want to feel happy and not think about Jonathan Gannon or Nick Sirianni or Jalen Hurts can't throw a football.
Right.
Like they just want to be in this little stupid box with all these fun memories. And I get it. Like, just don't keep saying it on social media. Like, I'm so done with it.
It's because we're so used to being losers. Like I said a couple months ago, everybody still talks about the Sixers-Toronto series.
Always.
Yeah.
Oh, if that just goes in. No.
No.
They probably lose in double overtime. Or whatever it is. I don't know. Like
Too many what ifs and then reminiscing in this case.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
And if I hear, hold up, wait a minute, you thought I was finished, I'm done with that too.
You ban Meek Mill?
I'm not banning Meek Mill. I'm banning that song.
Yeah, Dreams and Nightmares.
No more Dreams and Nightmares either. Like it was all
that song's like 8 years old too, by
Yes.
the way. So it was old when we were using it as an anthem.
It was on the last year you could use that song. Yeah. I'm done with it.
Yeah.
And if that makes me a bad Eagles fan, so be it. Enjoy it however you want to, but I want to be the Rams and the Bengals. I don't want to be the 2017 Eagles because that guy's down in Jacksonville and he's going to get fired real soon because did you see who he's hiring? Doug is, by the way, just real quick note, Doug Peterson is being Doug Peterson. Fucking Mike McCoy is your quarterback coach.
God.
A quarterback killer or some reason, like everyone forgets that. And then like, oh, what a great hire. Fantastic. He's just putting the good old boys network down there. And that, my friends, leads me to one last story before we leave you. I'm going to bury the celebration with this story because I think this is one of the funnest, most interesting parts of that team. Do you remember the divisional round? Atlanta Falcons,
Yep.
right? Like total mess of a game. They somehow escape. They don't. I still don't know how Keanu Neal's knee saves that game. But I was told a story a long time ago about Jim Schwartz and Doug Peterson's relationship. Now, I think they obviously had to get over some things because they won a Super Bowl. But the Friday before that Atlanta Falcons game, apparently the Eagles had told everyone that they do business with to not show up. They canceled all their meetings, and everybody's like, "Whoa, that's weird." Apparently, Doug Peterson and Jim Schwartz, the Friday before the most important game ever, were going to fight each other. Like they were going to almost came to blows, did come to blows, didn't really understand how far it got, but bad enough where they told some of their clients, like, stay home, we've got to fix this mess. Like, they were ready to kill each other. So I thought it was kind of funny that, like, would Doug Peterson even suggest Jim Schwartz being his defensive coordinator or whatever and be like, no, man, they really did not like each other. Winning that Super Bowl. It's just like so many different factors of how they won that and how it came to be is another reason why I don't want to celebrate anymore because it was that crazy. They shouldn't have won. Carson Wentz being hurt, your defensive coordinator and your head coach basically want to fight each other, and then, that's so crazy. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. They won because Nick Foles beat Tom Brady throwing for 500 yards in a Super Bowl. Like, all of it's completely insane. It is. And it's this is Rocky all over again, right? I had a point a couple years ago where it's just like, God damn it, I can't hear any more about Rocky. I can't do it. I get it. I know the history. I know everybody loves it, whatever. But, like, if I hear the Rocky theme song one more time, and I just couldn't do it. And this is the same thing now because it's actually happened, and now it's just going to be this for forever. On some level, you just got to embrace this is the absurdity that we live with.
Yeah. We didn't celebrate the Phillies this much in the city. Like, it's just, it's absurd. The whole thing's absurd. Please stop celebrating the Super Bowl. We're not Cowboys fans. It's time to move on. It's time to move on for sure.
We're slowly becoming them.
It's dangerous, isn't it? Like, it's...
Yeah.
I don't like it when...
Become what you hate.
See?
Wow.
And here we are. 20 years later, we're going to... Whatever the kids will be saying in 20 years. Oh, yeah, Eagles fans can't even watch their Super Bowl highlights without watching an NFT. Because that'll be like whatever blockchain is going to take over the world next. But...
yeah. Well, speaking of moving on, John,
yeah.
I have an announcement to make. So, after 9.5 years I'm leaving WIP.
Whoa.
Yeah. I made the call last night, spoke with management, told them everything that was going on. And the basic thing is, I mean, look at us, dude. We're in a studio right now. We've built this place. We're upgrading everything. Everything's changed. We're so busy. We're trying to build all this different stuff. And for everybody that's helped us along the way, by the way, all the support for the show, people in the text line and the Discord, just a kind message here or there. Thank you. Like,
it's been amazing.
This is the dream for us. You don't understand. This has been the dream for a long time. To be able to do this together has been phenomenal. So with us here, Taylor, now Francisco's helping us out. The way everything is growing here is just at such a point where you got to be all in. You got to be all in the fullest way. I'm not watching the Sixers as much. You know what I mean? It's like I'm watching the Eagles. I'm reading the NFL. I'm in on the news for that. For all the clients we have here at the studio, I'm listening to their shows, figuring out how to get them better, help them out with stuff. So it just got to a point where it was like, I just got to move on. And it's a crazy thing to think because that's how I got started in all of this. Like, I started a sports blog on my own right after college. I didn't know what I was going to do. But then I got into WIP by accident. Because my uncle was like, hey, would you like a job in sales and radio? And I was like, no, I would not, actually, but thank you. And then 2 days later, he's like, they have a promotions job. Would you like to hand out T-shirts at bars? And I was like,
okay,
yeah,
that's better.
Yeah, that sounds fun. So I got into WIP that way and obviously did all, producing and engineering, working with so many people. I mean, I worked with Joe Conklin on the Angelo Cataldi show for 3 years. That was amazing. So being able to do all of that stuff, leading to a nationally syndicated show and everything, like all of this I owe to WIP, so I have a lot of love for the place. And I definitely don't leave on a sour note, but it just got to a point where I had to make the commitment, and this is it, man. It's us right here.
We cheers our liquid deaths to say another new chapter for this season. I want to shout out Philly Sports Strips one more time because it looks as if we're going to have a lot of fun, and we need you in the Discord because Vince has quit his job officially.
Yep.
And we need to know where you want to go this season. I am so pumped because I think our first trip should celebrate Vince leaving and being all encompassing with this stuff. This has been a great support, as Vince was saying. Like, he doesn't do this without you guys, and it's been pretty incredible. So thanks to everyone that's helped us along the way, especially the two behind the glass here, and to Vince Quinn for finally being a man. Yeah. Look at that, out on his own.
Totally independent now.
So we will see you for the next episode for sure. And who are we picking? I'm still going with the Bengals and Joe Burrow.
Rams in a landslide.
McVay chokes again and overthinks everything like he did in San Francisco. So we will talk about that more on Monday. Should be fun. Until then, that is Vince Quinn, who no longer has a job except for the one right here. I'm John Barchard. For Taylor Credatis and for everyone that has helped us along the way. Thank you so much for listening to Bell the Birdman right here on YouTube and the podcast, and we'll see you later. Okay, bye.